Hey guys, this is Chris with Project Life Coach, coming at you guys with another video, Sex Talks video 2. I know it's been such a long time since I made my first video on the topic. Alright, so this video is going to talk about mostly distorted beliefs regarding sexuality, and we're going to talk about the sacral chakra. So if you're familiar with like the auras and stuff like that, this would be a good video for you. If you're not really familiar with it, I think it's still alright. It's a lot of basic psychology and stuff. Alright, so first up, this website is really cool. It talks about the medical physical causes of prostate problems, and which has to do with your reproductive system. But anyways, the first quote that I think is really interesting is here. You know, like when we talk about like the rectum, penis, or vagina, right? If you get like irate or kind of cringe, like ask yourself why. And then the quote goes on to say, "Who told you to deny any part of your body? Certainly not God. Our sexual organs were created as the most pleasurable part of our body to give pleasure. To deny this is to create pain and punishment. Sex is not only okay, it is glorious and wonderful. It is normal for us to have sex, as it is for us to breathe or eat." And I was like, holy shit, like that's really cool, because for me, I've always thought of sex as something like naughty, bad, dangerous. It's sinful, suffering, and stuff like that. But then this framework is like, like sex is actually something really natural. And I realized I had the belief that, like sex is bad. And then it goes on to say, like, what is sexuality anyways? And so this is pretty interesting, right? And here it's we are and have been in the midst of breaking old rules that have been governing our sexual truth for decades. We are rejoining and healing old wounds that have told us over and over again that sex equates with sin. Sex is all about giving and receiving. It's about emotional energy, money, living space, and creativity. So I thought that was really interesting again, because of course, sex equates with sin. I think that's a lot of beliefs that Christians have. Personally, I'm a Buddhist. We equate sex with suffering and attachment. But here it's saying that sex is all about giving and receiving. Oh, that's really interesting. Of course, in a literal sense, the penis goes into the vagina. There's something that comes out and, semen, right? But the whole aspect of giving and receiving is really interesting. It's like kind of like you are pleasuring your partner like via like oral sex or something like that. So it's like you're giving them something and like you receive something. I was like, that's cool. Like that's giving sex about giving and receiving. It's like, okay, I can be on board with that. And it says sex is also about like energy, money, living space, and creativity. Don't really understand that much, but creativity is really interesting. All right, because when you think about it, sex is two people coming together and something else comes out of it. So it's kind of like if you have Mexican food and you have Korean food comes together, you get Korean tacos, and it's kind of like a metaphorical sex of two different food cuisines. But I was like, a lot of times when you're coming together with another person, it was like, yeah, that's what it is. It's creativity. It's not just sin and and pleasure. It's pleasure too. But that was interesting. A lot of times when I have a girlfriend, right, and we're together, a lot of times, and we don't, I'm still a virgin. I haven't had sex, but a lot of times just being with another person, you get like different ideas and they meld together. And a lot of times I feel like I'm smarter and brighter and more creative when I'm with like a significant other. So I thought that was cool too. Here, there's another quote. In the Bible, sexual intercourse is called having knowledge of another. We all have this deep desire to be fully known, not just emotionally or mentally, but also physically. The body rejoices when it is truly touched, recognized, and celebrated, and it grieves when we condemn it to forever remain unknown or unacknowledged. So yeah, that's totally, out here it says that sexuality is linked to our creativity, co-creativity, and empowerment. It can release energy for projects as work, artistic venture, sports, decision-making, writing, and living creatively. Sexuality keeps you flexible, fluid, and sensitive to your health, your needs, your relationships with other people, and your marriage to yourself. Sexuality has to do with our emotions, communication, creativity, the good and the bad, as well as setting boundaries, and of love, hate, as well as suffering, and of birth and death. So I was like, wow, that's like really deep, you know? I was like, whoa. Because when I think of sex, I just think of like pleasure, like hooking up, like hot girls, right? And stuff like that. And this was really great to kind of put sex in a different perspective, like all about the whole creativity and projects and decision making and empowerment. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool because um, like let's take for example money. Some people think money in just in terms of bad things like greed, evil, Donald Trump, money, 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 right? But then there's other people who are like, hey, money is about flow, it's about energy, it's about helping others, it's about giving and receiving value. Here's $5. Oh, thank you. Here is a hamburger. It's exchanging of value. And sex could be, it's not just sin, or anything bad. It's about flexible, fluidity, sensitivity to your health, your relationships. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty, like, that's not, like, we don't really talk about it in our family, like Asian culture in general. And this is interesting. All right. So here it says the second chakra. Your second chakra is like your stomach area, your reproductive here. Like that's your second chakra. And here it says the second chakra is about friendliness, creativity, sexuality, emotions, and intuition. Intuition is really important. The second chakra governs people's sense of self-worth, their confidence in their own creativity, and the ability to relate to others in an open and friendly way. It's influenced by how emotions were expressed or repressed in your family during the childhood. Okay, that's good. Ba-ba-bum. All right, sex is an undeniably powerful, pleasurable, and healthy way of turning on. Okay, cool. Ba-ba-bum. Okay, here. This part was like, holy shit for me. All right, here. Your second chakra contains your attitude about sexuality, your sexual attractiveness, what makes you attractive. If you believe that money makes you attractive, or that success makes you attractive, and that you have to or need to be accomplish something creatively in order to feel good about yourself sexually, if you really believe this to be true, then you are losing large amounts of power and energy from your abdominal and sexual area, which includes the prostate. I was like, holy shit, like that's totally me. Because I've always been taught, like, by my mom and like society in general, like if you want to be sexually attracted to women, you gotta 1, have a lot of money, 2, be really successful, and the creative thing is maybe like art, music, piano, dancing, and shit. You gotta have that too, So I feel like there's a lot of like, okay, if I want to be sexually attractive, I gotta check mark, and then here it's kind of like, dude, if you believe those things to be true, you're really just holding yourself back. And what if you don't believe that to be true? What if you feel like you are, I don't know what it is, but inherently sexually attractive? Like, are the people who you find sexually attractive have a lot of money? Not necessarily, right? Okay, let's say freaking like Aladdin, right? Like, did Jasmine find Aladdin attractive when he was all rich and the Prince Ali and shit? Like, nah, like she liked the Aladdin because he was like cool and dope and a street rat, and he was just himself. I can't say the same with like a lot of movies, like let's say like K-dramas, like the guy always has a lot of money, or like in 50 Shades of Grey, doesn't the guy have like a lot of money? He's like super rich, and most of the protagonists and stuff in Hollywood TV, like the guy always has a lot of money. So we've been subconsciously, like we don't even know it's happening to us that, we do, like that. Like, oh, as a guy, you need a lot of money in order for women to find you sexually attractive. But maybe it's more about, I don't know, acceptance and non-judgment and giving and receiving and creativity and stuff like that. I think it would be more healthy, yeah? Like, I'm not sure what the answer is because, like you, I'm not really sexually empowered. But, just figuring this shit out as I go along, like literally. All right. Let's see. Second, sacral chakra is centered in the sexual organs and lower back region, while the power inherent is in the first chakra is a part of a tribal family. manage sexuality, competition, self-defense, yeah. And then there's like more stuff, and I'll post the link below. You know, um, suffering is a natural byproduct of a distorted sense of self. Suffering. Well, you guys can read this stuff. There's like guilt and addiction, but it has more to do with the prostate and stuff. I think that about sums up the main points of the video that have to do with sex. So the reason why I came across this website is because one of my doctors, he had a hunch that I might have something like prostate enlargement or something with my wrong with my prostate, and we didn't do any like formal checkups or anything like that. But basically, now that I looked into it, it makes sense because I always pee like a lot. Like I've always thought it was because like when I'm out with friends, I go to the bathroom more often than others. Like if you hung out with me, you know, like I'm always running to the bathroom. I always assumed it was because I drink more water. Like I always carry around a water bottle with me, and I drink a lot of water. But for some reason, like that's what I assumed. But maybe there's really something wrong with my prostate. I should probably get that checked out by with like tests and stuff. But yeah, yeah. Now that's about it for this video. Hope some of this helps and some of it's interesting. I know I learned a lot just by reading this blog, and I was like, holy shit, like no one talks about that. It's awesome. All right, here we go.